All right. Excellent. Good morning.
Good morning, Julie. Good morning.
It's
How are you today?
aloha. Aloha. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I didn't even
So,
think about doing that today, but
and so I'm
I'm so
laughing.
ready.
I have to say, everybody, that Julie is going on a fabulous vacation. So I am living vicariously through her, as you can see. This is actually in honor of Julie going on her vacation. So we're excited for you, Julie. Woo!
Thank
So
you
fun
so
to go to
much.
Hawaii.
Oh my gosh. My sister, when I first booked the trip, my sister was like, "Are you excited?" I'm like, "I'm never excited until I'm on the plane."
Yeah, a lot of
So
people are like that. I'm kind of
I'm,
the opposite. I get kind of excited before and then,
I'm
move
getting
right along.
closer, but there's so much going on for me right now that I'm not quite there yet.
Yeah, yeah.
So this I'm Julie Hawkins, the biz psychic, and that was Bella's tale.
And
And
Miss Bella.
I have Bob news to share later. He's doing very
Oh,
well.
good.
I'll start with that so that we don't worry about him.
Hey.
But yeah, I'll share some Bob news. Bob the cat. And okay, Bella, go. I would ask you to find a place, but she's like, but everything's ants. Everybody seen in my neighborhood has flying ants.
Oh no, they're still there. Wow, that's
Yeah,
annoying.
so the guys come and spray, but then they're ants. They just come back. I just don't.
They're like, you're not getting rid of us so easily.
They just come back, and this is a new breed I have never seen. My neighbor's like, yeah, they're flying. I'm like, I know.
No, yeah, like they're not bad enough that then they fly too.
Exactly. So
Well,
Tammy, yeah.
yeah, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. Tammy Langowski, tammy'sintuitive.com is how you can find me. I'm an intuitive reader, advisor to your questions, and using clairaudience, clairvoyance are my two primary abilities. Other clairs come in, but those are my two primary. And I'd love to channel messages that I put on my Facebook and Instagram from my guides. I just posted another one yesterday. If you'd like to check that out, that's Tammy's Intuitive Services, Facebook and Instagram. And then we're on Higher Healing. And, while we're thinking about it, we might want to do a little plug for our next event, Higher Healing event. I know you're going to be on vacation, but if you're able to, you may be jumping in. You're going to see, right?
Possible.
Possible,
If
right?
I'm up and awake.
Yeah, right. I mean, understandably. So it's on Higher Healing Facebook page really is the best way to kind of hop onto that. That goes live. And this one's going to be on mediumship, which is always a really cool topic. And just really communication with the other side. So that's on Saturday, May 22nd at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So we just wanted to say.
We had sort of a pre-discussion about these things, and we're all looking forward to it. Hawaii is now 3 hours ahead, so I don't know that I will. I'm sure I'll be up, but we'll see. We'll just see.
Yeah, play it by ear and see if you feel like it or can do it.
It's a great topic, so I really encourage you to go. So I'm Julie Hawkins, a Biz Psychic. I can be found on YouTube as Julie Hawkins, a Biz Psychic, and of course with Tammy, Two Psychic Moms. And one of these days when things slow down a little bit for me, I will start channeling and doing Facebook Lives. But there's so many other things going on right now. And so when I open, so I'm going to just segue into this because when I open my records, I often get, whatever, I'm sure you get a theme too, or, I'm not sure what your theme is. So I'll just briefly start with the overview. So sometimes I open my records a different way. Sometimes I include planet Earth. Sometimes I include the US. Sometimes it's just whatever in the moment. And today I included planet Earth. And I was just, as I did that, I heard them say, yes, that's all lovely. And well, they didn't say that, but they said yes. And it's about bringing it back down to the individual level today. So, so while I included the global us, they really want to talk about it's all about you, and what is happening for you in your life, and how are you handling things? And there's just a lot going on. Oh, by the way, happy belated Mother's Day to anyone out there.
Yes, I was going to say the same. Thank you.
I went to brunch with my sister. We are both mothers, and our children did not, our offspring, they're not children, but our offspring did not come with us. So we celebrated together. And um, one of the things we talked about randomly was COVID brain. And it's a real thing. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering, do you, any of you experienced COVID brain? And COVID brain being, writing this down so that we can have it in our topic, being, you know, memory fog, just a whole range, you know, depression, anxiety, just a whole range of stress probably induced things that I don't know, we have in regular lives, but it's different. It's different stress. So, you know, I'm just wondering what comes. And you look so good today, Tammy. I just want to tell you,
Oh,
you look so beautiful
well,
on you.
oh, well, thank you very much. It's all for you. All for you.
I'll cycle through some pictures while while we
While we're just chatting about stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. And can I add to that, Julie?
Yes, please.
Are
That's
you-
why I
Okay.
segued to you, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to stop you if you're still going there. And yeah, no, that's a real thing. It's a great topic, actually. COVID brain. I love that. I mean, we love it, don't love it, but the idea that I can say for me that I think that is true. I mean, I think it's not unusual too, by the way, if any of you might be feeling, now there's going to be some of you that are like, oh man, I can't wait to travel. I'm jumping on a train, you know, plane, whatever. And that's fine. So I'm not going there with any judgment of that. Where I'm going with it is there's going to be some that are feeling a little bit frightened about even not leaving the house so much. Well, maybe there's some. But for like big trips, you know, there might be some of that hesitation that you're a little fearful about. And I think that can really happen under the circumstances of what we've just all gone through. I'm not a psychologist, but I would imagine, psychiatrist, whatever. I would imagine that there can be some effects of that, of feeling a little bit funny about leaving your safety zone, because we've been, you know, especially when it was shelter in place, all the more, thankfully, we've been gradually been able to kind of ease out, and that does help. So don't be, I think, and you know, I say I think, but I'm opening up right now too, that this is a common feeling, is what I'm being told. So honor it, you know, don't think something's wrong with you necessarily. I mean, if it's a real problem, you might want to, you know, talk to somebody about it. But you know, that this can happen under the circumstances of what we went through. So just kind of be patient with yourself, allow yourself to, they're showing me going in and really working on like affirmations of safety, that I am safe, I'm secure, I'm protected, those kinds of things. Now, we're not saying you don't be careful, of course, when you're out there, because, you know, as we've said and is known, that this virus is out there, but it, you know,
yes,
so
over folks.
exactly. It's not to ignore it, is not what we're saying, but just you know, to do some good practices that you're okay, you're safe, if you know you're safe going out and taking the precautions that you need to take. So yeah, I mean, I think so. And then like, I think for me, if anything, I felt some of that. I did feel some of that, and I thought it was interesting. You know, at the same time, it's like, wow, you're almost afraid to like, and I don't mean going short, you know, little trips and things, you know, but there's something about being, you know, in this nest, you know, and then all of a sudden to be able to go far, I do feel, even as I say it, I have to admit there's a little anxiety for me. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do it, and I'm going to look forward to it when I do a big trip. But for now, I'm kind of easing into that a little bit, and I am taking things seriously. I mean, that's part of the reason, you know, too. But I know I will be out there doing, you know, when I can, some longer, far away trips kind of thing. So yeah, and Julie, I want to ask you, oh, you got Bob there. So when you're talking about that too, describe what you mean for you. Oh, hi Bob. Can't wait to hear his update.
I'll come back to Bob. Let me put something up there that I was trying to just upload. I forget that they just click on those, but let me, so here's what's coming up. A couple of things. So, when this all first happened and we went into shelter in place, there was such an adjustment period, I mean, first there was fear, but then it was like, okay, we're just going to live indoors, or, I mean, we really just didn't interact with people for so long. And then and then it was just, okay, you can only interact with your family. And then it was, that for a really long time. It's really been that way for a year, if you think about it.
It has.
And so until so we have to ease, we're easing back into this, and we want you to know it's okay to ease. In fact, it's better to ease. We don't want you to jump back in, and we're not going to talk about those who have been there, done that, and already never sheltered in place. It's
Yeah.
So just be easy on yourself. And yes, COVID brain is some memory issues, memory fog, and just a lot of anxiety and depression that you maybe, not a lot, but anxiety and depression that you maybe just didn't realize that's what it was. So
Yeah.
we want you to just really love yourself and be kind to yourself. And it's a good time, we're easing back into this with the weather. So we're happy that that's going to help you feel good about that. And but at the same time, it's not over. It's not going to be over. It's, again, not, we're saying next year. We've said that right along. We said 3 years, and next year will be 3 years. And so the peak is over, the worst is over, but it is not over. And while we feel like, so here's the energy that we pick up from the virus. It's like, okay, we're going into retreat mode to regroup. We're going to let you have your spring and your summer, but we'll be back. As Terminator said, I'll be back.
Yeah.
And it will be back, because people will get careless, and we may end up needing a booster. We feel like maybe 6 months from now, you may start to see, we think a booster is going to be a good thing to have.
Yeah, I feel the same way too on that, on the booster, and they have talked about it, in all fairness, but we're looking at it intuitively as well. More to come is just what I hear. So, again, we're not trying to be, Debbie Downers, nothing wrong with Debbie's, but you know what I mean by that. We're not trying to burst your bubble or anything, but just to still, be cautious.
Be real. Yeah, just go and enjoy life, but just know that if you've had your vaccination and everybody around you's had vaccination, you're probably in good shape.
Yeah. Right.
There is no secret conspiracy about vaccinations. Oh my God, I just have to share this because it's just so ridiculous. Maybe I already shared it, but if I did, I'm sharing it again. And if I didn't,
go for it. Some might not have heard it.
My good friend was telling me how her brother texts her all this stuff, whatever, and his conspiracy theory is that there is a microscopic operating system in the vaccine. And I just laughed because, first of all, don't you think if somebody could have done that, we would have heard about it in some other context, like the world of high tech and computers, not to be saved for a vaccine. It's like,
it's like a very clever conspiracy thought. Some people are very clever with their thoughts on,
and just flat out freaking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just not it wasn't even an application or a program, an operating system. You know what bandwidth goes into an operating system? And I'm not even a tech geek. They're talking
more than I do on that, because I would. Yeah,
it's a huge amount of. I mean, yes, we've shrunken things down, but it makes me think of if you ever went to Disneyland in the
Yeah.
in the years past, and you went on that ride that was the atom, and you got shrunken into the atom, it's like, yeah, that's fantasy land.
That's why I was at Disneyland.
It was in fantasy land in Disneyland.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, not real, not real.
Yeah.
It's just
I know.
so get your vaccination. You might have a couple of days of discomfort, as Tammy did, as I did, and then it's all over.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Ah,
definitely. It's totally doable. Yeah. Yeah.
much
No,
better than
agreed.
ending up in the hospital.
Agreed. I just realized you put your screen on for Hawaii. Good.
So this is a picture I took in Hawaii.
Yeah, it's a legit one.
Yeah, in this is Maui. I actually really love Maui. It's probably it's in some ways, other than Oahu, it is the most commercialized.
Mhm.
But there are parts of Maui that are still very
Oh yeah.
native, and there are parts that are, commercial. And
For everybody.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. Yeah, actually, I like that. In fact, when people used to think, oh, Oahu, like, and personally for me, I mean, I love all the Hawaiian Islands, like many people do. But I love Oahu. I've always loved Oahu. I actually lived on Oahu when I was a toddler for a few years. So my first memory is on Hawaii or on Oahu. But I like it because of that reason. Like you said, I like that there's all the, you have all the commercial stuff, all the tourism stuff, but you can get away from it. It's not like you have to be in Waikiki if you don't want to be. There are different parts of the island that are, really beautiful and not so much. But I think that's true with all of them. I mean, like you said, the next would be probably Maui in that way.
I do love Maui. It is
Yeah, it's beautiful. I agree. It's a beautiful island. I went on Molokai. I actually rode a mule on Molokai. Do you remember those bumper stickers? I don't know if you remember those. So, I mean, we're talking, well, I used to see the bumper stickers probably in the 90s, early 90s.
I rode a mule in Maui. Is that what they're called?
One time I was behind a car and it said, I rode a mule on Molokai. And I'm like, what the heck is that? I'm like, maybe I hadn't even heard of Molokai at that point. And I ended up doing that one trip. It was fun. I couldn't do it now. My back, lower back, you have to be careful. And it was a little, hair raising at, some of those cliffs and all. But it was fun. I loved Molokai. It was really neat.
That's very, and so I've never been to Molokai. I've been to Lanai a few times. And it's a little, I'm just going to say, it's a little too quiet for me.
Yes, I agree. It's fun to go visit. I felt the same. We've gone to Lanai, same thing. I agree with you. It's a little quiet. It's not like I'd want to live there or anything, but kind of neat to go on it and say you've been there and visit a little bit.
So we are, so my daughter lives in Kona, and I've been there more times than I can count, but we are staying, I'm taking my sister, and we are staying in Hilo with a friend. And while I was in Hilo for a day, I've never really been to Hilo otherwise. And so we'll see.
Well, that'll be an experience for you. Yeah. Same either.
Beach, relax. Eat, beach, relax. Eat, beach,
love it.
Repeat.
Love it.
But
so fun. I almost wore my puka shells for you. I almost wore my puka shells. I'll go with the flow. But I have puka shells from the 80s.
Oh my gosh.
That's when I first used to go a lot.
Don't know where mine are. I go through this period where I clean up stuff, and so I get rid of stuff I don't need. But I have all kinds of Hawaiian stuff because we taught huna, which is Hawaiian shamanism, and so all kinds of Hawaiian accoutrement and beads and sacred, all kinds of
That's
stuff.
great.
I just didn't have time to put on today because I started at 6:30 this morning and didn't really have a break. But
girl today, easy girl. And it's funny you would mention that energy, because I was going to say, since we'll channel something for you, but Julie going to Hawaii, the Big Island. Well, you're going to love it. Do you mind me doing this, Julie? I'll just tap in just for fun, see what our guys have to say. Of course, you're going to love it. And we love the energy for you. And they went like this. I was going to tell you this as well. They're doing it. They went, like blow it our way, blow some, I was going to tell you that, send some of that beautiful energy my way when you're there. And maybe to all of us. Also, there is a lot of, I'm no surprise, and I don't really know what you know about the healing aspects or, you know, the energy work there that you've done. But I am getting a lot of like, that there really are a lot of different magical, you know,
Yep.
you know, I don't know what we want to call them. But yeah.
Well, they're kahuna and they're kapuna. So
Okay.
kahuna are shamans and kapuna are elders. Oh, friggin' ants. And I'll just put my coffee cup on it.
Too bad Bella can't get them.
And so yes, there's a lot of that energy and cat hair. And so I'm gonna tap into it from the Hilo side this time. So my friend who lives there, he's very spiritual too. In other ways, Buddhism is very important to him, and I don't know. I'm just gonna take some time and commune with the energy that I feel there, and I
I
do
love to do
spend
that.
some time in the ocean. And I am not a, I am a. Thank you so much for channeling that. First of all, I appreciate.
Oh, sure. Was just a little something, it wasn't a whole lot, but
No, I can already feel the energy.
they just told me to for you. They said something like eat cake and enjoy, you know, so in other words, that says everything, right? Just like do what you want to do.
Papaya. My friend's like,
Right.
do you and your sister like papaya? I'm like, bring it. Bring it. Yes, papaya. So he maybe has papaya growing on his property. I don't know. You know.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
So yeah, it's good to gosh, you know, I just I really have a tie to the islands. I felt it when I took my daughter 30 years ago, and she felt it so intensely that she moved there. I mean, that was her. She's like, I'm moving here at 11 years old. I'm going to live here. And I went,
Awesome.
"Okay."
Past lifetime. I was like,
I think for
some
both of
blow up.
us. For
Yeah,
both
right.
of us.
Oh, definitely. I know for me that has been that way. Yeah.
And so many people, you know, it's such a it's a dichotomy culture. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but there's so much aloha and
Yeah.
love and at the same time there's a lot of poverty there and drug use and
Yes. Yes. Mhm.
because that's what my daughter sees, that she works in that field. And so just it's such a land of contrasts.
Mhm.
And
I
and I
agree.
don't care, I love it all, so I can't
Yeah.
wait to be there.
No, it's a great experience going there. My early times were in the 80s. I went first, was one a week, me and my bestie. So if she's watching this, she knows of all of our good times in Hawaii. But we started out in 1980, or I graduated from 1980 from high school. And that was our trip. And then we were hooked. I mean, we had many, you know, trips after that we did, and gone with my husband and my kids and all that. But oh yeah, we were very close to considering trying to move there, you know.
I just don't know
Could
that
have,
I could. I
but
don't know that I could. I don't know. I mean, somebody once said to me, "Oh, I couldn't live there. I'd have island fever." And then all of a sudden, it was like planted in my brain. Yes, I would have island fever.
yeah, you hear that a lot, right?
I love to visit, but I don't know that I could live there.
Mhm, mhm.
Just,
I could for a while. Well, it depends on the lifestyle, right? I guess if you're really out and wanting to go very far and do wide and do things, then that may not be, you know. But if you're at a lifestyle, then that you are comfortable staying kind of, you know, in your zone, so to speak. Then I think I could. I think my father felt that way a bit. That rock happy island fever, two different ways to say it exactly. And I think he felt a little bit that. I think my husband says that. He
what
says,
did
I'm
you call it?
rock happy, or
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Really, when you look at those two words, I'm not sure why it would be called that, but
Yeah.
island fever. Yeah, or just, you know, a little bit too isolated on an island when you think of it. But I mean, there's so much that you can do. And it just, again, it depends on one's lifestyle, I would think.
I think also my daughter is such a water baby. Everything is about the beach and the water for her.
Okay. Yeah.
And while the water is, it regenerates me as an earth sign, I need that.
Mhm.
I just need my earth.
Yeah,
I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't really matter. Don't
me
think I'm
too.
considering moving there, but and
Yeah.
you never know. But anyway, so enough of that. But thank you. And so let's see, is there anything else that we want to channel through spirit?
My guides did give me the only thing that they gave me because for Mother's Day I went on a hike with my kids. It's a short hike, and in the kind of the redwoods, Villa Montalvo. We just went up there in the hiking trail, and it was really lovely. And I I joked in a post that I did that I really realized how out of shape I am. Oh my gosh. Okay. Thank you, pandemic, shelter in place, and foot pain, and I'm making excuses, aren't I? But some of that was legit. But yeah, no, I just like, oh boy, anything uphill, I'm like, it took me, I had several stops. But it was really nice being out in that, of course, that, the trees and all that good stuff. And I've really been getting into elementals and learning more about them. I have a really big draw to them lately. I've always had it a little bit, but more recently. So I follow that because sometimes when you get those kind of nudges and interests suddenly, it's something that maybe you need to explore. So
100%.
yeah, and right now I'm taking a fairy class.
Oh, how fun.
Yeah, it's like 4 or 5 classes of learning about fairies and things like that. But I definitely have, I don't know if I've ever said this, I have a leprechaun elemental that is with me, has been with me. No surprise because I love Ireland. I mean,
God, me too.
I,
That's my next trip.
yeah, Ireland's, I want to go back to Ireland. I mean, I follow things, like on Instagram and stuff that's all about like Ireland pictures.
Oh, you have to share stuff with me offline. We'll talk.
Oh yeah, definitely. So anyway, this guy, he his name is Borgerus. That's the name he gave me. And I had to chuckle, Borgerus, because it even sounds like a leprechaun. And trust me, I wouldn't have come up with that name on my own.
Exactly.
But yeah, so during the first class, a little bit, we were going through a visualization. My daughter sat along and did some of that too. She had some kind of cool stuff. And it was so funny because I saw, which I didn't expect, I had an elf pop in for me, which was not on my elemental list. So that was interesting. His ears, he made sure to show me the pointy ears. And then Borgerus came in, and he kind of came in front of my mind's eye, and he tipped his hat at me. He took his hat off like this. It was so fun. So I wanted to say, we won't make it, I can go into detail about it, but my love for it. But they are out there. And we have to remember when these realms were, talked about in story writing and authors and everybody who's come up, don't you ever think that, I mean, logically, like maybe they exist because somebody came up, and we know they do, exactly. So, that's what's so cool about it. I mean, all the, the unicorns, the mermaids, the, fairies. Oh, and did I ever tell you about the picture of my friend that sent me a picture with the fairies in it? I don't know if I told you this or not. So this is kind of cool. This was a few years back. She sent me a picture, and she'd been at Memorial Park, which is where we used to go camping with the kids a lot. And she said, Tammy, look at this. Look at all these dots. At the time, I didn't know they were fairies. So I'm looking at it. She wanted me to look at it, take a look at it intuitively. And my guide said immediately, they said, fairies, just like that. And then they said, woodland fairies.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh. I had chills. I was like, because I can assure you that wasn't me. My guides validated that those were fairies around her. And then to hear woodland fairies, I'd never heard of woodland fairies. Now I know they're there, but I hadn't. It's so validating.
It's so validating, right?
Isn't that just awesome? It was really, really neat. So I was out there, on Mother's Day, just really trying to commune and talking with the trees, which, and when you're clairaudient, you can talk to anything. So, and I do my clairaudient convos. I've mentioned that before. I type it out. But it was really neat. So I'm having fun right now for me with the elementals. So they are there. They are around. You can call them in. You can just in meditation even. They like to work with us. They work with us a lot like guides can and angels can, where they might leave things for us and little signs and help in any way that they can do. But they're a very light, loving energy And yes, the leprechauns can be mischievous, but I'm not surprised I have one with me because
Yeah,
of my
right.
personality, and they make me laugh and I laugh with them, and they have a really good sense of humor and stuff. So there was one other thing I was going to say. There was a book, I don't know if you've ever heard this one, Julie, called Summer with the Leprechauns. And if anybody's interested in reading it, it's not a large book. I mean, it's not a long book. Summer with the Leprechauns. And somebody at East West, when I was there, had told me about it, and I read it, and I loved it. The author, I won't go into detail about it, but just the idea that is, she goes to she's intuitive, psychic. She goes to Ireland and she rents this Irish cottage, and there are leprechauns living there. And she sees them, I think, mainly with her mind's eye, through her mind's eye. That's how I usually see spirit, is through, I mean, I once in a while seen something, but for the most part through my mind's eye. And she is her story about that. So I'll just say that. So
Oh my gosh.
it's a fun read. It's really a fun read.
What's it called again?
Summer with the Leprechauns. And I think her name is Tanis, is her first name, like Tannis. It might be Wells. Tanis Wells, Wells. Anyway, I just thought I would mention it because it is a fun read.
Well,
So
thank you for sharing that. The bottom line is, when we're called to one thing, we open the door to all kinds of other good stuff. So,
exactly.
which, I want to be clear, we open the door to good stuff,
Exactly.
not to negative stuff, not to malevolent things. I'm very clear, when I started doing this work, I do not work with that.
Yeah.
And I've never had to worry about it. Yes, I am protected, and all the same, that is my intention. So intention is everything, right?
Yep, absolutely. No, it is important to put the intention out there.
Well, there's so much, I don't know if I ever told you guys the story. If I did, I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but right after, maybe it was a year after Chris died, I went back to Hawaii it was just such a sacred place for us. And I went back and I took some of her ashes to scatter, which you were not supposed to do. But I didn't take very much, right?
But everybody does.
Exactly. And one of the hotel rooms that I was in, actually, it wasn't a hotel room. I at that point, we had invested in a timeshare, and so I still had the timeshare. And I got a 2-bedroom timeshare. Just, that's what they had, so that's what I ended up with. And the bedroom I was staying in had a TV, and then there was a TV in the living room. And one night I was sitting in the living room, and all of a sudden the TV in the bedroom went on. And I'm like, it was Chris. She wanted to let me know that she was there. I could then got intuited her energy, right?
Yeah.
But talk about freaking weird, right? And manihunis and leprechauns and fairies, and just weird things that have happened to me weird things have happened to me in the islands. I am not kidding you.
Yeah.
So there are, those sprite energies that want to give you, little things and make your life interesting. But that was probably the strangest experience. Well, and I didn't really even tell the whole story. I mean, no need to, but that was the gist of it. And
no, that's great. It's great. I've had things like that happen too.
Yeah.
Things go on and weird things, but
because those are things that are not in your control. Like, you're just, we channel and we know what we're doing, and we're doing these things, and then all of a sudden something happens that you're not doing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have one to share. I'm looking at our time because I don't want to overdo. So, but it is interesting. It's along those lines, and you're right. It's so funny. We can still do what we do, but it still kind of freaks you out when it happens. When all of a sudden something happens. But the beauty is, I mean, when you work on your clairaudience and all that, you can tune in to find some things out. I had a situation when my kids were younger, and they had a Blues Clues, the little tick-tock clock thing, that sat up. And it was in their bedroom. And I was walking, I was walking down the hall. Now I have to say that this clock, I know I investigated because I am a practicaltorian. I do always look at things and figure things out. If lights are going off, if there's another explanation, I don't always just assume it's spirit, because sometimes there is a logical explanation to it, right? But sometimes there's not. So anyway, this clock. So that's what I'm saying. This clock, there's no way for it to go off unless, I forget now, it's been so many years, but unless you wound it or you did something to it, but it couldn't go off. I looked at it later. But I was walking down the hallway, and just as I'm at my kids' door, and they weren't in there, just as I'm passing their door, it says 12 o'clock, lunchtime. I stopped dead in my tracks. I look over, and I'm creeped out because I'm like, okay, first of all, the funny thing was, it was lunchtime. I'm just saying, just to add that. So I go in and I'm like, okay, who's here? I know somebody's here. So my guide started out with a friend. They said, a friend of yours. And then I don't know, they gave me something else because, like I said, it's been so long, I can't remember. And it turns out it was a high school friend who had tried to communicate with me, who had passed when we were 18. And I didn't know him that well, but because I'm a medium, I think he was kind of drawn, to me and all that. And he was great. He said he was just trying to get my attention. And then he had told me, you were just talking about me. And I'm like, and then I went, oh my gosh, I was in a reading with a friend. I mean, literally the day before, and it came up. I mean, I'd forgotten about it. And we were talking about him. So that isn't that just awesome? So he, God bless him. He just found a way to have some fun, and he got my attention, and we chatted just a little bit, and I was able just to send him love. He's doing okay. He's in spirit, he transitioned, but they do come and visit us. But yeah, so that was one I never forgot because it was humorous and it was like kind of creepy at the same time, but it was all good.
They can be. I mean, as you were speaking, I was like remembering, because this was already 10 years ago that this happened with Chris, but I remembered that I think it was the first or second night I was in that room, the clock radio went off. Horrifically loud music.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I could chalk that up to somebody setting an alarm. But I mean, it was so loud that I'm sure I thought it was the band downstairs across the street. It was that loud.
Right.
And then the next day for the TV to go on by itself, I'm like, yeah, no. Okay, so so on another note, because
we gotta get to Bob.
I do want to give you an update on Bob. Okay, Bella, you have to move somewhere. Bob, we took Bob back to the vet. And this was the before. You kind of saw both pictures, but just remember this poor little Bob. He was just in such rough shape. So that's what Bob looked like.
Oh, this is good to have a before and after. Yes. Oh my God. Okay.
Just so filthy, and his tail had what's called stud tail from all the hormone secretions. So it was like it was dipped in wax. He was a mess.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I'd never heard of it either.
I've not heard of that. Yeah. Poor guy.
Then a happier Bob.
He's looking great.
He's so
sweet guy.
And then
I love that face.
He's
Bob.
I am just
He's been through a lot, Bob.
He has. He's like, I'm clean and I'm happy, and he doesn't even really squawk to go out. Sheila doesn't let him out, and he loves me to visit with him. He's just, his mom is my friend Sheila, and I'm Auntie Julie.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Let me see his face again, Julie. Move to the side just a little bit. I want to see his face again for a second. Yeah, just because I want to hello, Bob. Yeah, Bob is so ready to just be, you know what? I picked up with him again. I get that same feeling of like, how do I put it into words? Like Bob is just like, Bob doesn't really put up with it. Bob's got a really solid personality. Like he's just,
I think he did, but he's at the point in his life, given the illness and his age, that he's like, I just am happy to have a place where I don't
agree.
have to fight for food.
Yep.
And he just loves the affection.
Yeah. 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 He's been through, as we know, he's been through a lot. He's a tough cookie, they tell me. And and I agree with you. That look on his face is totally like, I'm just ready to just chill and be taken care of and be, you know what I mean, in a place where somebody loves me. But I'll tell you, he's got what is that saying, gumption or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah, well, to survive, right?
I guess so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But now he's just so sweet. And,
So
and
sweet.
a little bit fragile still, but I'm hoping that over time. So they removed, I don't think I told you all this, but they removed 6 teeth that were rotten. They gave him the long-acting antibiotics, so to clear up anything that will give, and he needs that as a cat that's FIV positive, because he can get all these other underlying infections, and that's what makes his life really hard.
Right.
He's still just skin and bones, he's kind of, I mean, his head is big. He must have been a big cat at some point.
Yeah.
And over time, he's just lost.
He's got a lot of physical things to deal with. So he's 9, did you say? He's about 9 years old?
They think he's around 9, but
Around
do you know
9.
what? Sometimes, so I kind of get the sense he may even be a little bit younger because of everything that he's been through and the disease. It's just taken its toll on him.
Yeah, yeah, right,
But
right.
now he has his forever home, and she has 2 other cats, and they're kind of, one of them is like, whatever, doesn't bother me in the least. And the
That's
other one is
good.
like, oh, okay, I'll move.
Oh. Right. Well, we gotta
So,
move on.
and Bob is just like, it doesn't bother him. He's happy to just lay on somebody and
Exactly.
be loved. And
Yeah, right.
that's all he
Yeah.
asks for.
He's like, hey, I've been around worse. You know what I mean? Like he knows how to deal with maybe some other cats. So that's the great. And you're right. He's had a point where he knows that he deserves to have that love. Bless his heart. I'm so glad. And thank you to your friend and to you, Julie, for taking care of Bob. I mean, on behalf of all of us, oh, it's heartwarming. It really is. So thank
She
you
kept
for
trying to get, thank you. She kept trying to go home to Julie. And I'm like, first of all, Casa Julie is closed. We are full up.
I know, right?
Full
Right.
up. And
Yeah.
he picked you. Bottom line, he picked you.
Yeah.
And and she adores him.
Sweet.
It's a
Well,
very
they're meant to be
unusual-
together. He meant to, find his forever home for sure.
So thank you for all the prayers, because they do matter and they do
Yes.
help. And I got to tell you, I mean, he had just been through so much, and every time we took him to the vet and then they finally did it, and I'm like, I was worried, will he make it through? Will he come out of the anesthetic? Because here's an interesting tidbit. I don't know if you guys knew this. I certainly did not. Apparently, you can do a neuter of a male cat, which is a neuter, in 2 minutes.
Wow.
2 minutes. I'm like, but it takes a little bit longer to administer the anesthetic and make sure that they're under, so, and the right dose. So anyway,
Right.
he the first couple of days, and then they put a pain patch on him, and we couldn't get it off today. And so she had to take him back to the hospital, to the cat hospital, to get them to take it off, because I started pulling it off and he started bleeding. I'm like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
For the thing.
Yeah.
His skin is, anyway.
I know.
In a general sense, he's much better. His mouth is much better. He's neutered. He's clean. He's happy. He's got antibiotics in him. He has his forever home. And I just want to thank everybody for all your love and prayers. They just.
Thank you, everyone. Absolutely. We all know how important, the power of prayer and healing intention is. So.
All right. So until next time, so I will not be here, but Tammy said she's going to show up.
Maybe, yeah, maybe, just with maybe a channel message. If I do, it'll be just a, kind of a short channel message. It's not the same without Julie. Julie and I are the two psychic moms. So it would be just something that maybe I share with you for, just a channeled in between. But
you do that on Zoom or on your own Facebook?
I'll see. I'm not sure.
Okay, well,
because you're talking to non-tech Tammy, so I'm like, you just posed a whole bunch of questions for me. Like, I got to think about that. But if not, I would just do it Zoom like this and just put it on our thing, on our two psychic moms. So, but we'll see. But we wish you, Julie, a fabulous vacation.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll come back a little. I will come back a little tan because that's just who I am. I tan. I mean, I could burn, but I don't, and generally speaking, and I'm careful about that. And
yeah, so I did far too many years of that stuff, when I was like 18 and on. So like now,
remember the baby oil?
Oh,
did you use baby oil? Oh,
I didn't that much. My sister did. So maybe I was just following where that wasn't becoming such a thing. But I think I did a little bit, probably when I was really young. Yeah. But I know it's crazy, isn't it? But you have a fabulous trip. We're wishing you well. Soak in all that beautiful energy. Send us a really good vibe. We'll all love having some of that aloha energy.
Maybe I'll do a Facebook Live from Hawaii.
Would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Oh, they're like, they love it. They're like, yes, let's do that. Let's do that. All right. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Until then, whenever that is, I'm Julie Hawkins, the Biz Psychic. You know how to find us. Tammy, my dear.
Tammy Langowski, tammysintuitive.com. So you guys, thank you so much for joining us. And always, we appreciate you viewing, subscribing, liking, and sending us some questions you want us to tap into for you. Okay.
So I always like to say a good way to come up with questions. If you have an inquiring mind and you're just like, I wonder what would happen if, or, it's just, we just have these random moments where we're like, I wonder what that planet would be like. The Mars, they just had a Mars rover, not a rover, but a new thing that landed on Mars and is taking pictures.
Right. Right.
If you're ever wondering about other planets or Mars or something, jot those questions down and send them to us.
Yeah, because we do look at that and we can get some information. It's really, and we're just as on of it as anybody else. So
mine just said far and wide. We can go far and wide.
Exactly. All right. Well, aloha, Julie, and thank you, everybody. And we will talk to you soon. Two psychic moms saying bye-bye for now.
Aloha.